Hi guys, I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there will know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that there is a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. And I don't actually need to lean into exactly what that crazy stuff is, because you'll each individually know to yourself, to your path, what that is going on in the outside. And there's also an element of awareness that some of it is kind of going on to create mass hysteria, mass distraction. Look that way, not this way, that kind of sense of thing. Um, and ultimately, as a result of that, I really want to highlight to people out there that more so than ever, this is a period of time where we really need to focus on our inner discernment, our inner knowing, our gut instinct, and actually really learning to go within rather than looking outside, because that is the whole point, or not the whole point, but it's some of the point of why there is so much craziness going on. It's that real attempt to disconnect ourselves from that inner knowing, that inner awareness, that ability to know thyself, separate from what is going on outside, and really honing in and practicing that, um, disconnecting ourselves from that reality of what is going on around us, and reconnecting with that inner part of ourselves, that inner knowing, that inner compass that allows us to actually navigate the world with ease when we have the ability to sort of take a step back, recenter ourselves, and realign to what our core inner self is guiding us to do in any given moment. Um, because there is so much that can be disconnecting us from that at the moment, from whatever reason that may be. It may not even be on a collective level with the craziness going on. It could be people in your life that are um, trying to disconnect you from your authentic self. So, really leaning into that authentic part of yourself. And how can you do that? It's just really simple, really. Just taking that opportunity to, even just for 5 minutes a day, if you're just starting out and wanting to sort of learn how to go within and connect to that inner part of you, it's taking 5 minutes each day to sit, to meditate, to be in a space of silence and awareness. And, it doesn't even have to be a meditation. It could just simply be taking yourself out into nature and allowing yourself just to be. No distractions, nothing like your phone, nothing at all. Just having that pure ability just to disconnect and just to breathe and take your focus from the outside and your focus onto the inside. And actually, the more and more you do that, that's when these sort of things will come up. And that's when usually things will come up to clear your path or connection to the inner part of you even more so. So, what do I mean by that? Um, so, when I was in the corporate world, and I had sort of many years in the rat race, and I had many years of trauma and many years of sort of carrying excess amount of baggage on my shoulders, there was so much outside noise that was disconnecting me from my inner self, disconnecting me from that intuitive part of myself. And it's really interesting because a lot of us actually intentionally take ourselves down that path because, for want of a better term, it becomes our comfort zone. It is not a comfort zone. I always say the comfort zone is never comfortable. It's just something that we're used to. It's a path that we've been on for such a long time that it's just begins to be the norm for us. We've wired ourselves to go down a certain path. And so when we try to navigate away from that path, it's like, oh, that's scary. But it usually is, especially if we're being sort of like guided in that direction. It's what our inner compass is sort of guiding us to lean into. But ultimately, when I was in that sort of rat race, that cycle of like doing, and heading many times into different sort of elements of burnout, having that sort of diagnosis of epilepsy, being forced into that space of surrender with that epilepsy, with the environments that I was in, with the toxicity of the environments that I was in, with the fact that my mental health and my physical health and well-being was going downhill again, with a reoccurrence of my eating disorder and my anorexia coming back in full force. I was kind of forced into that position of stopping. And it was actually the most beautiful opportunity, because what it allowed me to do was slow down, stop, and just be surrounded by that silence around me. I spent so much time in nature without any distractions, and it just allowed me to sort of become aware of all the things that I needed to work through, all the things that I needed to heal, all the things that I needed to clear from my physical environment around me and that emotional environment around me. What was I holding on to that didn't serve me? What was I holding on to that I needed to get rid of? And the more and more I've started to peel back those layers and work through those things, the clearer I have become as a channel and a vessel for the work that I do. But what it's also allowed me to do is allow me to come into that space of authenticity. It's allowed me to come into that space of knowing thyself and learning to sort of go within and actually really understand from the core of my being what my path and what my what my higher self is leading me into. And like I said, that's an individual perspective of the distractions that I was having going on in my daily life. And so it could be that you've got your own individual distractions. You've got that sort of lifestyle around you that is not allowing you to connect to that inner part of yourself, that authentic part of your being. Or it could be that you are really focused on this sort of mass hysteria that's going on around us in the world today. And as a result, it's disconnecting you from that inner part of yourself, that aligned part of yourself that is connected directly to intuition. It's connected directly to the source energy. And you could sort of argue that it's done by design for that exact purpose. But what I'm saying more than anything in this sort of message is now is really the time to get into that space of discernment, really learning how to go within. And if that means that you really have to look at your sort of life and look where you're actually sort of experiencing a lot of distractions, or you've got a lot of stuff that you've got going on around you that is or could be considered like baggage that is actually disconnecting you from that inner part of yourself, where can you sort of work to clear some of those blocks, clear some of those things that are holding you back? Maybe there's people that you need to disconnect yourself from. Maybe there's environments that you need to disconnect yourself from. And it's not easy, don't get me wrong. But certainly a lot of us are getting nudges every single day from our guides, from the universe, whatever you want to call it, to navigate in a certain direction. And trust me when I say, if we don't listen to it, we get more than enough nudges and sort of like signs and little hints of awareness. But the more that we don't listen to it, the bigger those nudges get. And so take it from me, who actually didn't listen to their own guides when I should have done. You don't want to be in that space where you really are on your knees and having to actually make a choice, not being in a position where you could have actually been ahead of the game. But yeah, right now is really, really that time to sort of practice that discernment, learning to get rid of all the noise around you, however that may look, so you can really go within, find that authentic part of yourself. And when you're able to do that, you can really practice that discernment so much more fully. You can feel into what's right for you. You can feel into the path that you need to take. You can feel into that ability to allow yourself to be authentically you. And when that happens, it's really quite miraculous, because that's when things, not always rapidly, but that's when things start to slowly fall into place. But it's not just about that. The message really today is just to really start practicing discernment wherever you can in your everyday life. And if it means that you're having to first clear the path to be able to access that discernment, because it's always there, it's never not there, it's guiding us every single day. We've just been conditioned out of being able to listen to it, being able to recognize what it sounds like or feels like, or how the signs are showing up to us on our path. But the more that you can work to listen to that discernment and connect to that inner part of yourself, the more fluid and the more flowing your life becomes. And it really, really actually disconnects from all that distraction of the outside world. Like I said, that is very much happening at the moment. And I will use the term again, the mass hysteria. And the more that we disconnect from that, the less it will happen, the less power that will have over our lives. And the more that we come back into that space of not control, because it's not about hierarchy or control or anything like that, but more we come back into alignment, and the more that the life for in our individual selves becomes more aligned and more flowing, but equally more so for the collective energy as well. I hope that message helps, guys. I'm sending the request out that it will find its way to whoever needs to hear it today. And yeah, just send you lots of love. Practice listening to your inner self. Practice connecting to your inner state of being. And yeah, just let it guide you because it knows where it needs to go. And sending you lots of love. Take care. Bye.